Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Tuesday. It's going up for the next 3 hours on the sports voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW FM 104.9. Online at 580WIBW.com. On your mobile device, on the MSC radio app, and on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. However, wherever, whenever you're dialing into the program today, thank you so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuy will be along in the 4 o'clock hour as per normal. We've got 3 hours of sports talk coming your way today. At 6 o'clock, we'll make way for Royals baseball pregame coverage of Game 2 of their 3-game series against the San Francisco Giants. 6:40, the scheduled first pitch. Tyler Mahle on the mound tonight for San Francisco against the Winder Avila of the Royals as the boys in blue seek a second consecutive series win out of the All-Star break after last night's 4-3 win. Royals are playing 7:50 ball out of the break. Don't let them get hot. 6:40 first pitch tonight on the Royals Radio Network. So we've got 3 hours in between now and then, and a whole lot to get to on today's program. We're going to plenty of Chiefs today, the second in our series of 5 big burning questions for the Chiefs ahead of the start of training camp. First practice is Saturday. Report day is Friday. So 5 days. We got 4 days now until the first practice. Our second in a series of 5 burning questions about the 2026 Chiefs. We'll get into that. We'll also continue our countdown to kickoff. We reach number 55, and there is an active number 55 on the Chiefs roster that maybe you forgot about because 5 games into his rookie year last year, his ACL went kerblooey. And then his ACL injury became not the most important ACL injury the Chiefs had to monitor the recovery of this offseason. So a step back away from the limelight for many reasons for the second-round pick from 2024, Omarr Norman-Lott. But we'll talk a little bit about the big DT from Tennessee. We're also going to get to some college football today as well. The Athletic today releasing their list, their ranking, because it is still ranking season. Like, there's no training camp for college football, still a couple of weeks away yet. So still right in the middle of ranking season, list-making season for the college football media space. And the Athletic today has their list, their ranking of the best quarterbacks in the country. And they rank all of the starting quarterbacks from 1 down to, gosh, I don't remember the number anymore. Are we at 132 FBS schools now? I have to go back and scroll the bottom of the list and look. Anyway, I think the way that they made the list kind of supports the hypothesis that I have about the caliber of quarterback play in the Big 12 this season. Also, pretty harsh evaluation, at least in one corner from one Big 12 coach in regards to Kansas State quarterback Avery Johnson. We'll talk about what those surveyed had to say about Avery, and is it fair to say those things or not? We'll get into that. So we'll talk some college football today. We'll get into some baseball as well. The Royals won last night. I mentioned 4-3. And if you picked up the phone and you saw the final score and you said, oh, hey, 4-3, nice win, that means you didn't see the top of the ninth inning. Royals had a 3-1 lead with 2 outs in the ninth, and then they didn't. Alex Lang giving up a game-tying home run with 2 outs in the ninth for the second consecutive outing. Royals got it right back, though, because, look, the Royals bullpen is quite bad. And we'll discuss some of the depths that they are plumbing this season. But also bad, as it happens, the Giants bullpen. And they gave a run right back. Royals winning on a Nick Lofton suicide squeeze in the ninth to take the game 4-3. We'll talk a little bit about that last night. Salvador Perez moving one step closer to club history. And we'll preview tonight's matchup as well. Our guest today is Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Michael joins us every Tuesday for Jayhawk Weekly. We'll get his thoughts on the biggest KU sports-related thing happening this week. It's the TBT. The TBT opens tonight at Bramlage Coliseum. JHX Hoops versus Purple Rain, the KU alum and the K-State alum team, playing at Bramlage, game 1 of that 3-game series. That's tonight. Tomorrow night, game 2 at Lee Arena. And oh, hey, by the way, I've got one more pair of tickets for that game to give away. If you have not yet secured your tickets for the TBT at Lee Arena, chance to see Frank Mason, Michael Beasley, Jamari Traylor just joined the JHX roster, Xavier Sneed, all the rest. Couple of former Ichabods on the JHX Hoops roster. If you have not yet secured tickets, I'm going to give you one more chance to win a pair. You're going to have to pick them up from us tomorrow, but we're open. Our business hours at the station are from 9 to 4. You can go and grab them and get an early dinner and then get on out to Lee Arena for the game. So we'll give away one more pair of tickets to the TBT game Wednesday night at Lee Arena at Washburn University. So stay listening for your cue to call. But we'll talk a little bit about the TBT, some other Jayhawk basketball recruiting news with Michael Swain as well. That's all coming up at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour today. And because it's 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. Because it's Tuesday, we've got our typical Tuesday shenanigans on 580 Sports Talk, including our 580 Sports Talk headlines. We got a round of Random Question Tuesday coming up, and you'll want to stay tuned for Random Question Tuesday if you've been curious what we're going to do as a thank you for reaching 1,000 YouTube subscribers. Because we've kept you in suspense long enough, we're finally ready to announce what it's going to be. Even if we can't announce a date yet, we're working on the date, but the particulars are in place. And we can now tell you what we're going to do as a thank you. How will we debase ourselves on 580 Sports Talk as a thank you for reaching a nice round number of YouTube subscribers over at our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk? And by the way, if you'd like to get us closer to the next subscriber milestone, go subscribe today. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Doesn't cost you anything but a click or the tap of a screen. We'll make that announcement in Random Question Tuesday, so be hanging out for that. We've also got What Is Wrong With You, of course, as well. You are, as always, invited and encouraged to be a part of the program today. As I mentioned, we're on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, and the live chat is a lively place with lively folks, friendly folks, good times throughout the show. It's a great way not just to interact with your host, but also to interact with each other and grow the 580 Sports Talk community. See, Christopher's in the chat early today. Christopher, every now and again, will post an emoji based on what day it is. And I'll be honest, Christopher, as often as I screw up what day it is on this show, sometimes those are really helpful. So thank you for that. Thank you for the taco emojis that helped it click in my brain. Ah, yeah, today's Tuesday. Mark H. is in the chat today. See Vance, hello. See Paul in as well. Good to hear from you, gentlemen. Would love to hear from more of you. If you've never been in the live chat before, no day like today to hop in while we're live on YouTube at 580 Sports Talk. Can also text the program. 785-272-9429 is the number. That is 785-272-9429 to text the program throughout the show today. All right. Big burning Chiefs question numero dos, the second of our 5-part series as we lead up to the start of training camp. Report day Friday, first practice Saturday morning. God, it's going to be miserable at Spratt Stadium at St. Joseph, Missouri. And not that is not a comment on St. Joseph, Missouri. That's the weather we're having, right, folks? I mean, let's keep it real. It's not real fun to go outside right now. Like it's not really a good time to go outside. You know who that is hard on? It's hard on the parents of a 2-year-old who really wants to go outside all the time. Even at like 6:30 at night after we're done with dinner, we have to tell them, nah, dude, you don't really want to go outside. You want to go hang out in the basement instead. We got so much cool stuff in the basement. We're begging him to hang out in the basement. Last night it worked. Fingers crossed it continues to work because it is just gross outside. And it's going to be gross outside for Chiefs training camp as well when it starts on Saturday. But in the days leading up to that, we've got a burning question for these 2026 Chiefs. Yesterday's question was about something like a youth movement that it feels like the Chiefs are embarking on this year. And will younger mean hungrier for the Chiefs? Today's big question is as follows. How can the Chiefs generate more defensive splash plays? Splash is just a placeholder term effectively for plays that flip a field or plays that flip possession. Offensive splash plays are just explosive plays, right? Your 15-yard runs, your 25-yard passes, your deep shots, things like that. On defense, when I refer to splash plays on defense, I'm talking about sacks and turnovers. I'm talking about plays that bring drives to an end, plays that improve your field position, plays that switch possession, and occasionally can even end up, if you're fortunate, with points on the board. You take a fumble or an interception back for a touchdown. Can the 2026 Chiefs generate more of these splash plays? And more is the operative word because, well, last year was the worst it's been for the Chiefs when it comes to generating those kinds of plays over the course of the last handful of years. In the 3 consecutive AFC Championship winning seasons that preceded 2025, the Chiefs recorded 55 sacks and 20 turnovers in 2022, 57 sacks and 17 turnovers in 2023, 39 sacks and 20 turnovers again in 2024. But last season, the Chiefs as a team had just 33 sacks, and it wasn't just sacks that were down. Quarterback hits were down to 103 from 112 the season previous to 125 back in 2023. The Chiefs also forced just 14 turnovers on the year. Now, they only turned the ball over 15 times, so being -1 in the turnover department is not a bad place to wind up. And goodness, in the year they won the Super Bowl 58, 2023, they were -11 in the turnover department that year. Remember that? -11. They turned the ball over 28 times that season. And then just kind of stopped doing it in the playoffs and won the Super Bowl. But only 14 turnovers generated last year. 10 interceptions and 4 fumble recoveries. And of those 33 sacks from last season, a third of them walked out the door this offseason. Charles Omenihu had 3.5 sacks last year. Jalen Watson had a pair as a blitzer. Leo Chanel had a pair. Jerry Tillery had a sack and a half. Mike Dana had 1. Trey McDuffie, as a blitzer, had 1 sack. So a third of the sacks are out the door, and half of the interceptions are out the door. Jalen Watson had 2 picks last year. McDuffie, Chanel, and Dana each had 1 of their own. So you have a paucity of big defensive plays. And when you don't make big defensive plays, when you don't get a sack that helps you get better field position on a punt, pin a team deep, you don't get a turnover that gives you the ball in scoring range. What you do over the course of the season, the big picture, you make life harder for your offense. Big picture speaking, life is harder for your offense when you've got to start further back. And if you're not getting sacks and not generating turnovers, generally speaking, as a defense, you're on the field longer because you're not getting off the field as adeptly on third down. Or you're not getting off the field just all of a sudden, the quick change of possession just like that. The Chiefs last year average drive started just shy of their own 30-yard line. Right around where their opponents' drives did. They started better than the 30 in 2024. They started ahead of the 30-yard line on average the year prior. And that was with less forgiving kickoff rules. Less forgiving touchback rules. They had better starting field position on average in 2024. It's hard to really compare when you look year over year at field position because of the changing kickoff rules. So it's hard to draw a line one way or another. But turnovers and sacks, really, really helpful plays at the end of the day. And the Chiefs didn't generate enough of them. And now a third of the sacks and half of the interceptions are on different teams from last year. How do the Chiefs generate more? Well, I have bad news about the interceptions thing. I don't think that's a problem that's going to get better with the departure of Jalen Watson, Trent McDuffie. And I don't think it's a problem that's really necessarily designed to get better. And there are two reasons for this. One, teams take care of the ball better in modern football. You just see quarterbacks throw fewer interceptions. That's just kind of part of it. But the way the Chiefs play does not really set them up to have a whole bunch of interceptions. It's not how they prioritize playing cornerback in particular. They're a physical man-to-man team. They play the man. They're out there to play the receiver more so than they're out there to make plays on the ball. And you can sense that. Like, the interception numbers here kind of bear that out, where Trent McDuffie is widely considered one of the best cover corners in the NFL. And McDuffie is being paid accordingly, and he's been an All-Pro twice in his career. And Trent McDuffie, in 4 NFL seasons, has a grand total of 3 interceptions. Did not have one in his first 2 seasons. Had 2 in like a 2-week stretch there in 2024. Had 1 pick last year. 3 picks in 4 years for a guy considered one of the best cover guys in the NFL. And I can tell you this, it's not like Trent McDuffie, good player, but it ain't like a Revis Island situation here, right? Or like when Richard Sherman was in his prime with the Seahawks, where quarterbacks just looked to that half of the field and said, yeah, that's not worth it. That half of the field is his. I'm going to go the other way. Even the elite quarterbacks in the league didn't mess with Darrelle Revis, didn't mess with Richard Sherman, which is why those guys early in their career had the big interception numbers. Sherman had a year with like 8 picks. I think he led the NFL. And then the numbers in that category dropped. Didn't mean he was a lesser player. Just means he wasn't being tested. I don't think that was the case with McDuffie. And I don't have like raw data to back this up necessarily. But McDuffie, to me, was not a guy that teams went out of their way to avoid. He had chances to make plays on the ball, maybe intercept a pass or two, and just not really a part of his repertoire. And that's the best corner the Chiefs have had since Steve Spagnuolo's been the defensive coordinator, right? 3 picks in 4 years. That's just a design. You can call it a flaw if you want, but that's by design. That's the way the Chiefs play on the outside. They are more concerned with their physicality early in the route and being attached up top and maybe not trying to jump a route or bait a quarterback. That's how you see sometimes teams get interceptions, or playing a lot of zone, confusing a quarterback behind a zone look because they throw it into a dangerous spot, and all of a sudden there's a defender where they didn't expect there to be a defender, and that's how you get an interception. You think about some of the picks the Chiefs had last year, of the 10 interceptions that they had, Mike Dana had a pick. Just tip ball that he came down with. Ashton Gelati, same deal. Tip ball that Gelati came down with. Ashton Gelati has had an interception last year. Jack Cochran's pick was the same kind of thing. And you can tell this, that guys are making interceptions kind of like in place or on tip balls, because the longest interception return that the Chiefs had on any of their picks last year was Christian Roland Wallace's interception, where he returned for 23 yards. I guess we call him Chris. Pro Football Reference refers to him as Christian Roland Wallace. Maybe that's his preference, and we've been getting it wrong all this time. But Roland Wallace he's got 2 career interceptions in 2 seasons. He picked off Russell Wilson in week 3 and ran it back 23 yards, had a return 23 yards. That was the longest return the Chiefs had on interception all year. That's a function of how the Chiefs get those plays. So do I think there's going to be an explosion in interceptions given that the 2 best corners on the team from last year are no longer on the team? No, I don't. I think it kind of is what it is when it comes to forcing turnovers in that way. If the Chiefs are going to force more turnovers, it's going to come from recovering more fumbles. And here's one thing that I do think I'm optimistic about. The Chiefs have to have better fumble luck, because it would be hard to have worse fumble luck than they did in 2025. The Chiefs recovered 9 opponent fumbles in 2022 and 2023, and 7 opponent fumbles in 2024, but recovered only 4 opponent fumbles in 2025. Now, they only lost 3 of their own. Again, low numbers in that department. But the Chiefs also forced last year 7 fumbles. Forced 7, and then there's, unforced fumbles too. But they were only able to get on top of 4 of their opponent's fumbles. That's the kind of thing that could bounce literally one way or another season over season. So if you're looking for an increase in turnovers, that is where I think you're probably the likeliest to find it for the Chiefs. So outlook, I would say not real. I'm not real warm and fuzzy about the Chiefs forcing a ton more turnovers, even though they went from 20 to 14 last year. If they're going to bounce back to that 18, 19, 20 mark where they've been, it's probably going to be with some better fumble luck. More so than it's going to be all of a sudden just a whole bunch of picks. That leaves sacks. I said 11 of the 33 went out the door this offseason, but nobody who left had more than 3.5 sacks. You would expect an increase in production from a healthier George Karlaftis, who had just 6 sacks last year. A low number for him. Chris Jones's numbers continue to drop. Can he bounce back? Because the film suggests he's still winning a lot of his matchups and just not finishing. The film suggests he should have had a lot more sacks. Is that the kind of thing that can snap back, or is he just a 5-6 sack a year guy? Where will the impact come from elsewhere? How good can the rookies be? Can Peter Woods be a more productive interior pass rush presence than Jerry Tillery? Wouldn't be hard. Can R. Mason Thomas replace some of the lost sacks from Charles Omenihu and Mike Dana? I'm going to tell you this. Omenihu and Dana combined for 4.5 sacks last year. If R. Mason Thomas doesn't hit that number, I think that's a disappointing year for a second-round pick. A high second-round pick. I would be disappointed. Can Steve Spagnuolo's blitz packages be a little bit more diverse? Can he come up with some new stuff? It felt last year, again, I'm talking a little bit anecdotally here, but it felt last year like those plays where Spagnuolo would rush 6 or 7 Rush from awkward angles, rush different cornerbacks or different safeties from different angles through different gaps. Felt like those didn't get home as often last year. Can those get home a little bit more? Can the Chiefs get back into that 40, 45 sack realm where they had been, or even lower than they'd been in 2022 and 23? I'm more optimistic of that happening than I am of a meaningful bounce back in the turnover department. Just because, number one, it's more in their control. But number two, they've got some young legs rushing the passer. I think they got old at defensive end last year and at defensive tackle last year. I think they got old, and I think their production suffered. You're looking at rookies and second-year guys on that group around Chris Jones and George Karlaftis, the latter of whom I do expect to bounce back to a previous level of performance. 8, 9, 10 sacks, I think is well within reach for the regular season for George Karlaftis. I think the Chiefs can get back above league average in that department. Give themselves a chance to be better on third down. Give themselves a chance to get off the field faster. Play fewer snaps. Give the offense more chances and better field position. And if the Chiefs are going to be really good, it's got to be the defense helping the offense. I'm more optimistic they can do that with an improved pass rush. Can they get back to 55, 57 sacks like they had in 2022, 2023 when Jones was in his prime and wrecked everything and everything else kind of followed from that? That might be a little ambitious unless Woods and Thomas are both exceptional out of the gate. But it's got to be what you're aiming for. And I think it has to happen. For the Chiefs to bounce back and be an AFC contender, they have to make more impactful plays on the defensive side. And I just don't think they're going to be necessarily turnovers. I would trust a bounce back from the pass rush more than I would trust a bounce back in the turnover department. What say you? 785-272-9429 is the number. Who do you expect to be the linchpin of an improved pass rush this year if the Chiefs are to indeed to improve in the pass rush? Who's the most important guy to the improvement on the defensive line? Maybe it's our next player that we profile in our Countdown to Chiefs Kickoff, which we'll do next. We'll talk some Royals baseball later on this hour. We got Big 12 quarterback rankings from The Athletic to chew on. Michael Swain of Fog.net joined us at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. We got a jam-packed show today. Sure glad you're here on 580 Sports Talk. .334 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero hanging out with you. Spencer Dupuis will be in for the final 2 hours today with you until 6 o'clock. Paul in the YouTube comments talking about Trent McDuffie. Love the guy, very good defender, not great at actually taking the ball away. Again, only 3 interceptions over his 2 seasons as a Chief. And again, I don't know that that's necessarily a Trent McDuffie thing so much as it's a Chiefs cornerbacks under Steve Spagnuolo have not been particularly proficient at taking the ball away. And I think that's scheme design. And I don't think it's scheme design in the sense that, hey, guys, if the ball comes your way and you can catch it, don't worry about that. Don't play the ball ever. I don't think it's that. It's just the way that you're told to play puts you in a spot where you're going to have fewer opportunities to make plays on the ball. Where a lot of the plays that you want to, you picture a one-on-one like down the sideline or down the field with a Chiefs defensive back. And in the best case scenario for that Chiefs defensive back, they're stuck. They're right on the hip of the wide receiver, right? And they're going up and they're trying to make a play on the ball. That was one of the reasons I never loved McDuffie as an outside corner, why I think he's better in the slot, because he's not real big. And he get big boyed on the outside by some guys, like the best of the best. But he could get big boyed out there. But that's how you play, right? If you're a Chiefs defensive back, get on their hip, hand fight, make it hard for them to make the catch, and go up and contest at the point of attack. That's how the Chiefs play. It's man-to-man, and that's obviously been pretty successful for them. They've had some good defenses, and they've won championships. I'm not here to say that it's wrong. I'm just here to say that it does not lend itself necessarily to a whole lot of interceptions. So maybe in a different scheme, different alignment for Trent McDuffie, maybe he picks off 5 or 6 this year for the Rams. Who knows? But that is part of it. Our countdown to Chiefs kickoff continues today. We are 55 days shy of the season opener between the Chiefs and the Broncos, Arrowhead Stadium. Monday Night Football, week number 1, September 14th, is 55 days away. And number 55 for the Kansas City Chiefs is Omarr Norman-Lott, who kind of, I'm trying to think of how I want to phrase this. He's a little bit of a forgotten man. He's a little bit out of sight, out of mind going into 2026. And some of that is the injury. 5 games into his rookie season, he tore his ACL. Was out for the rest of the year. So there's that. There's also the fact that he's not number 1 on the list of Chiefs players rehabbing a torn ACL, right? When you think about guys who are coming off of an injury for 2026, there's one guy who takes up a lot of oxygen in that discussion. So we maybe don't think as much about Omarr Norman-Lott as he enters year number 2. I thought there were some moments of promise those first 4 or 5 games. We all remember his first NFL sack where Jalen Hurts ran smack into him and Norman-Lott delivered something like a WWE-style body slam to the Eagles quarterback in week 2. That stands right now as his only NFL sack. But there were moments. There were moments where Norman-Lott flashed. And the idea was never that he was going to be a significant contributor right away. That's why they went out and got Jerry Tillery and why they brought Derek Nottie back and why they ended up bringing Mike Pennell back, although I guess they brought Pennell back after Norman-Lott had gotten hurt. But my point stands. The thought was never, okay, Omarr Norman-Lott, second-round draft pick, you're going to start day 1. That wasn't even really his role at Tennessee. He was a rotational guy at Tennessee who had enough SEC caliber bodies at defensive line that they could afford to have all their guys, no matter how talented, be rotational pieces. So Norman-Lott's first year was going to be a lot of on-the-job learning, and there were some moments. In fact, if you remember back the very early days of training camp last year, and before that even, mandatory minicamp and rookie camp, ton of buzz about Omarr Norman-Lott. Ton of hype. A lot of talk about, hey, maybe he could start. Boy, this kid looks like he's not going to need much of an acclimatization period at all. He's not only holding his own, he's dominating out there in some of these drills. And then he hurt his ankle. He hurt his ankle in camp, and we didn't really see much of him in the preseason. And it was a slow start getting on the field to start the year. And then week 5, he tears his ACL, and that was that. And that's another reason that Norman-Lott has kind of become something like a forgotten man, because now he is very clearly fourth on the defensive tackle depth chart, behind Chris Jones, the free agent signing Kyrus Tonga, and the first-round pick Peter Woods. I think that's a good thing. I think it's a really good thing for Norman-Lott's development. There's not going to be any pressure on him to produce. The pressure to produce is on Chris Jones, future Hall of Famer, but also Tonga to do what he was brought to town and paid handsomely to do, and Peter Woods being the first-round pick and having the responsibility that comes with that. So the Chiefs can afford to bring Norman-Lott along, not just in training camp, but as the season goes along. They can bring him along at his own pace. He's not going to have to overdrive it. He's not going to have to push to get back on the field if the knee's not right. They can afford to be patient and exercise that caution with him, and I think that's good for his development. He's an interesting piece because I think there's a high ceiling there. I think that ceiling still exists. And if he's able to pick up where he left off in those 5 games last year, I think there's a good chance that by the end of the year, we're talking about the Chiefs defensive tackle group of him and Woods and Tonga and Chris Jones as one of the best defensive tackle groups in football. Because I'm really high on Peter Woods. Obviously, Chris Jones is Chris Jones. Kyrus Tonga, I think, is good at his job. He is going to understand the assignment, and he is going to be a dramatic upgrade with regards to that assignment from what the Chiefs have rolled out there in recent years. If Omarr Norman-Lott is their 4th best defensive tackle, and what he gives them is what it looked like he was starting to give them before the injury last year, that's a real strength. That is a position of strength. And again, no pressure here on Omarr Norman-Lott. But the sooner he earns the trust of Steve Spagnuolo in pass rush situations, along with Peter Woods, who's a rookie and has to earn that trust as well, the more you might see more of Chris Jones on the outside, or more creativity when it comes to how the Chiefs are able to line up, who their rush packages are able to include. And that's the kind of thing that could lead to that sack number bumping up in 2026. Text from 785 says, really liked Omarr Norman-Lott. Mission Creek Township folks are checking in today. Said before he got hurt, he was stellar. So if he's healthy this year, I think he can make an impact. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it because I do. I think if he picks up where he left off, there's a chance by midseason we're talking about that 4 defensive tackle group as one of the very best in the National Football League. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. When we return, the Royals won last night, but not before making a mess of another 9th inning. The numbers are almost literally unbelievable for the Royals in the 9th inning. But hey, they won. So we'll go a little easy on them. That's next here on 580 Sports Talk. From the 785 on the text line here on 580 Sports Talk. Love the look of the defensive line for this season, but I'm not sold on Chris Jones lining up outside. Didn't work well last time. I think part of the reason it didn't work real well the time before is because they didn't really have anybody with real juice on the interior to put next to him. And if Peter Woods has the juice, which I kind of think he does, like, I'm going to really talk myself into some wild optimism on Peter Woods as a Chief. But if he's somebody, or Omarr Norman-Lott is somebody that you really have to pay some mind to on the interior, then that could make Chris Jones next to that guy on the outside a little bit more effective. And the other part of that is maybe it doesn't do much for Jones's pass rush numbers, but if he's out on the edge, maybe that makes blitzing from that side more effective. So, something to chew on. But no, you're not wrong. Like, it didn't do a lot for his numbers. Didn't seem like he was making quite the same impact from the outside, just on an individual basis. So I get what you're saying. Thank you for the text. Tyler's got a great idea in the YouTube live chat. Seems like it'd be better to take the ball away from the other teams and give it to Mahomes. I don't know. Just might work out, maybe. It might. It might, yes. More turnovers would absolutely be a better thing for the Kansas City Chiefs in 2026. I think it's interesting to note that their interception numbers, I think they are what they are, not because, they got a bunch of guys who don't have any ball skills. I just think that's kind of how they play. They play in such a way that's not necessarily conducive to intercepting the football. Making plays on the ball is one thing. Intercepting the football is another. Hard pivot to baseball. Royals won last night, 4-3. Salvador Perez homered, getting closer to George Brett. He's one away from George Brett's Royals record, tying him at 317 home runs wearing the uniform. And as much as it looks like Father Time is starting to win that battle with Salvi, he hit that dinger 440 feet over two of the three walls out there at center last night. When he catches one, you remember that he's still 6'5", 230. And can still hit one a long way. 440 feet. I think it was the longest home run in the major leagues last night, in fact. So, monster shot for Perez. Royals led 3-1 going to the ninth. And with two out and a runner on, Alex Lang, for the second straight outing, gave up a game-tying home run with two out. Royals would go on to win on a suicide squeeze in the ninth, but the ninth inning numbers for the Royals. You know what? I'm just going to read you the team ERA by inning for the Royals, right? They played 101 games, so they played 101 first innings, 101 second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth innings, 75 ninth innings. Because you always play the ninth inning if you're winning at home. You don't play the ninth inning. But in the first inning, the Royals have an ERA of 5.97. Woof, that stinks. That's real bad. I got to imagine that's among, if not the worst in baseball, first inning ERAs. So that stinks. That's obviously bad. They have a 4.90 ERA as a team in the second inning, 4.28 in the third inning, 4.37 in the fourth inning. So things kind of settle a little bit, find a level. Fifth inning, 5.35. Ooh, gross. Sixth inning, 3.92. That's been their best inning this year by ERA. Seventh inning ERA, 4.54. Eighth inning ERA, 4.72. In 71 2/3 ninth innings this season, the Royals have a team ERA of 7.28. It doesn't seem possible. Opponents hit .318 against the Royals with a .402 on base and a .527 slug. That's like a prime Mike Sweeney season. And that's what opponents do to the Royals in the ninth inning this year. They've given up 15 ninth inning home runs in 71 2/3 innings. Absolutely atrocious. And the thing about it, too, is that's everybody. Because who on this team hasn't gotten a crack at it in the ninth inning, right? It's been everyone. They've tried everyone and everything. They've tried Alex Lang. They've tried Lucas Erceg. They've tried Carlos Estevez once. John Schreiber has a save. Matt Strom's pitched in the late innings. Steven Cruz. Daniel Lynch. Everybody has a hand in an ERA over 7 in the ninth inning. And look, that might honestly be the biggest reason things have gone so badly for the Royals this year. Because as a team, from an intangible standpoint, I think that's the biggest reason. Because if you don't feel like you can build a lead big enough to hold in the ninth inning, you're not going to win a lot of baseball games. You're squeezing the stick in the sixth and the seventh inning. You look up the scoreboard, you got a 2-run lead. Oh, I don't know, man. Not a lot of belief. There can't have been, as this season has gone on, much belief in the clubhouse when you see ninth inning after ninth inning look the exact same way. But hey, credit to the boys. Battled back in the ninth because the Giants bullpen is maybe equally stinky. Josh Rojas singled. Tyler Tolbert beat out a sac bunt. Carter Jensen lined out but advanced the runner, and Nick Lofton with the sac bunt, the suicide squeeze, rather, to win the ball game. So the Royals are 3-1 out of the break. Don't let them get hot. The bad news, of course, last night, other than Lang melting down and keeping everybody at the ballpark for an extra half inning, maybe he was doing it because he knows how much everybody loves a walk-off, right? The bad news was Bobby Witt Jr. leaving the game with back tightness. Apparently that flared up. He had the day off Sunday, flared up again while he was playing yesterday. Regarded as day-to-day, he is not in the lineup tonight. Tyler Tolbert is playing short instead. So no Bobby Witt Jr. for the Royals tonight as they play game 2 of that 4-game series. But hey, 3-1 is 3-1 since the break. But man, I want you to understand that what I'm about to say, I am saying as somebody who has followed the Colorado Rockies from their inception. I think the Royals bullpen might really be the worst I've ever seen. I really think it might be the worst I've ever seen. Suggestion from Braden in the YouTube chat. Need to let Jack Caglione close. They called him Jack Tani in college. He was blowing 99 from the left side. Honest to God, he's better right this second than Matt Strom as a left-handed relief option. No idea is a bad idea. As far as the future of the Royals bullpen, where there are no good current solutions and no real good-looking future ones either, no such thing as a bad idea. I'm listening on Jack Caglione, relief specialist, two-way player. I'm listening. If they can pull it off in college. There used to be a lot of guys who would close for their college teams. They'd be position players and they'd close. God. You go way back. It used to happen more often in the 80s and 90s. Doesn't really happen like that these days. Maybe it should. Maybe it should. Before we take a break, I want to tell you about the good people at Calhoun's Jewelers here in Topeka. They are the place to go for your jewelry needs for any occasion. Any reason you might be buying a special someone or yourself a ring, a pendant, a necklace, a bracelet, whatever. Go see the folks at Calhoun's Jewelers. They are knowledgeable. They are friendly. If you can't find what you're looking for, they will help you find it or help you create it. It is an outstanding buying experience from start to finish, and you will wind up with something you will treasure for the rest of your life. That's Calhoun's Jewelers, 18th and Gage, here in Topeka. We'll wrap up the 3 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk next. Wrapping up this 3 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. 2 more hours to spend with you before Royals baseball at 6 o'clock tonight. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, The Athletic ranked all of the starting quarterbacks from Division I FBS football. And their ranking of the Big 12 quarterbacks, the way that they ranked them vis-a-vis the rest of the college football ecosystem, well, suggests to me that I might have been right in how I consider the caliber of quarterback play in the Big 12 relative to the rest of the country. Also, the Avery Johnson comments, one Big 12 coach in particular, a little harsh. But is it a fair question? Is it a harsh but fair question that this one Big 12 coach is asking in the rankings? We'll get into that. We'll also talk KU with Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. He'll join us at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour for Jayhawk Weekly. Plus, we got What Is Wrong With You? Still got headlines. Still got Random Question Tuesday. A whole bunch of more fun on 580 Sports Talk. But right now, I need caller number 2 to 785-272-9429. 785-272-9429. I got one more pair of tickets to the TBT game at Lee Arena here in Topeka. The KU and the K-State alumni. Caller number 2 gets them. 785-272-9429.
Because you got to pull them because in case they get injured, that trade's null and void. I think you put it out there on the internet. Who was that guy years ago? Probably in the last 10 to 12 years. Who was on the Mets? Yes, Wilmer Flores. Man, that was... No, he was told he was going to get traded, pulled out of the game. Hug watch happened. He was hugging and crying. Yeah. Oh yeah, I know it. I recently went through a spell of back pain, and every once in a while I feel that little twinge, and I'm like, no. Hopefully, Tolbert won't have to pitch again. Yeah, I'll be on scene for that. Excited to go cover the TBT. A little bit more excitement than Royals baseball. Should be over before 10 o'clock. Just under, yeah. And it's just a sporting event in the summer where they don't have to go to Kansas City. Yeah, it's going to shock you a little bit. I believe so, yes. Like why the final 2 minutes of an NBA or even mostly college basketball games takes like 10 to 15. Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine there are going to be like if people aren't listening to the show like at the current moment and they didn't hear you explain this and you gave them away tickets. I know a lot of people have come to collect their tickets even in the last 20-30 minutes. Talked to a guy that was coming to get his tickets. They may not know that. They might just show up and get confused during the game. Yeah. I've got a good random question Tuesday that could also get it what would be the word? Get audience participation as well. Yeah. Can you repeat tier 4 again? What the? Interesting. Yes. Makes sense. Yeah. That's what I would expect. 8 or less. Didn't either. Oh my gosh, I did not know that. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't get that at all. So are they saying he's trying to prove himself? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
One who makes a read, makes another read. Okay, nothing's there. Let's take off. That's the version that I think Kansas State needs to be really, really good. It is a bit of a balancing act. And this is a big picture thing that Johnson is going to have to deal with. Because if he wants to play in the NFL, he wants to play on Sundays, have a long NFL career, he's going to have to prove that he can hang in the pocket, make throws. Because that's what you do in the NFL. But at the same time, to be the best college quarterback he can be, he's going to have to, I think, be a lot more willing than he was last year to plant his foot and take off. Because I still think he's the best runner of the football on the Kansas State roster, with all due respect to Joe Jackson and the rest of the running backs. I think he's the best runner of the football on the roster, and he's got to give himself more of a chance to do that. That's wild that a head coach asked, what has he done in 3 years? Like, wowza. Clearly, that was not a head coach who was lost to Avery Johnson. I'm going to go ahead and guess that I'm going to guess that wasn't Joey McGuire. I'm going to guess that wasn't him, because Joey McGuire remembers freshman Avery putting 5 rushing touchdowns on his head at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. I'm going to guess it wasn't him. I don't know who else that was. That to me is a little harsh. Like, the numbers aren't bad, but has Kansas State won the way they would have expected to win, bringing Avery Johnson to town? No, they haven't. That's entirely fair. From a team perspective, that is a very fair question. And I think that is a fair assessment. And I think ranking Avery Johnson behind Will Hammond, somebody should be arrested for that. Jaden Craig at TCU is one spot behind Avery at number 38, and that's the start of a run of Big 12 quarterbacks. Arizona State's Cutter Boley at 40th, DJ Lagway at 42nd from Baylor, UCF's Alonzo Barnett, the James Madison transfer at 43. Julian Lewis at 49 from Colorado. And Jaden Rayner, the Arkansas State transfer at Iowa State, 50th. So that is half of the league. 8 of the 16 starting quarterbacks are considered Tier 4 quarterbacks. So the Big 12 only ends up with 2 guys in the top 2 tiers, but 13 of their starting quarterbacks in the top 50 nationally, which is probably a shade more of the share than you would expect them to have as a Power 4 league. And that, to me, is confirmation of what I think of this quarterback group in the Big 12 as a whole. I don't think there's a Heisman candidate in this group. I don't think that there are guys in this group that are considered the very best of the very best. But I think there's a lot of real competence in the league. I think you have, instead of a bunch of great quarterbacks, because it felt like last year we had a bunch of guys who could be or were great.
Yeah.
This year, I think you have a bunch of guys who we know are good. And maybe more guys that you know are good than guys you have questions about. But maybe not as much ceiling. Maybe we don't feel the same way about Avery Johnson's ceiling or DJ Lagway's ceiling. After the years they had last year. If we're being frank about it, Lagway was terrible at Florida and he got hurt. And Johnson was not up to expectations, was not as expected last year. So maybe you don't feel as good about their ceilings, but you still feel like, hey, I can win a ball game with this guy. There's things that they can do. So that, to me, is what this list is telling me. That is what I am getting.
Yeah.
The rest of the list, there are no Big 12 quarterbacks in Tier 5. The Tier 6 quarterbacks are West Virginia's Michael Hawkins at 72nd overall and J.C. French of Cincinnati at 79th overall. If J.C. French isn't very good, Cincinnati's going to stink. They got a great offensive line, but I don't think they got any playmakers. And if French isn't good, it's going to be a long year for Cincinnati. And then in Tier 7, Cole Ballard at Kansas. 108th out of 138. And I don't think that's entirely unfair. We're going to ask Michael Swain when we have him on here in just a little bit, like, what's the ceiling for KU's offense if Cole Ballard is the quarterback?
Yeah.
Or what's his performance ceiling? And likewise, Isaiah Marshall's also got a chance to win that job. What's the performance ceiling with him? I did think it was interesting that there are 3 ex-Big 12 starters in the top 25. Sam Levitt ranked 8th. He was the last of the Tier 1s. He's going to start at LSU. Josh Hoover is 12th. He's going to start at Indiana. Rocco Becht was ranked 24th on the list. So he would have been the 4th-ranked Big 12 quarterback, which to me that feels about right.
Yeah.
He's obviously at Penn State. Taven Jackson, who started last year at UCF, he's 83rd. He's at North Texas now. I didn't know that. Also, had no idea Haas Heine, Oklahoma State great, is going to start at Colorado State. He was 84th.
Jeez.
So
didn't Taven Jackson get benched a couple times?
Taven Jackson got hurt and got benched
because my guy Cam Fancher was on that team, right? And he started a few games.
Yes,
before he got benched or hurt or something.
Was it against KU? It was a game I was watching. I think it might have been against KU where Jackson got hurt. It was obvious he was like, or was it? No, that was K-State. That was K-State where he got hurt and he came out and then he tried to go back in and there was no reason he should have been back in. It was a shoulder injury. Scott Frost tried to make that work and it really didn't. And he would be if he were still in the Big 12, he'd be the 15th ranked starting quarterback, and that feels about correct. But broadly, that is what I would expect to see as far as 13 Big 12 quarterbacks in the top 50. This is a conference where the level of quarterback play, there may not be the high highs, but there's a really solid base level of quarterback talent in the Big 12 this year. And also, I need to talk to whoever ranked Will Hammond ahead of Avery Johnson. I really need to talk to that person. We'll talk to Michael Swain here in about 10 minutes. We got What Is Wrong With You coming up next. You're listening to 580 Sports Talk here on 580 WIBW. It's What Is Wrong With You time on 580 Sports Talk. We've got two new stories competing today, trying to take down our current weekly champion, yesterday's winner, the Whizzinator. We had a Whizzinator story.
Whizzinator.
That is a this fake unit that you fill with urine, and you try to use it to pass a drug test when you know that you are not going to pass a drug test. And this gentleman threw it out the window of his car. Was that what it was?
No, he put it in the police car after he was arrested because he drove himself to the police station.
Right, when he had a suspended license.
Yes, to do the drug test when he had a suspended license. And the cop arrested him because he was driving with a suspended license.
Wild.
Yeah.
So that's our current champ. Spencer, why don't you go first?
Yeah, you ever need a ride share, so you go up to the window and say, "Hey, give me a ride." The guy says you got to go use the app, and then you get mad and you stab him and you flee to IHOP because this guy did.
No, I've never done that.
Yeah, this guy, a Florida man, was arrested Monday inside an IHOP restaurant in Orlando after police say he stabbed a rideshare driver. Jovan Nathan Matthey allegedly stabbed the driver after the individual, quote, refused to provide a ride without request through the rideshare app, according to the Orlando Police Department. Police have not released the driver's condition. Matthey was charged with attempted murder. After the stabbing, Matthey fled to a nearby IHOP in northeastern Orlando.
The picture here is unbelievable. He is at gunpoint, literal gunpoint,
Drinking
and he
a coffee.
is sitting in a booth drinking a coffee. Like, I don't know, you guys seem upset. What's going on? I'm just enjoying my coffee. I got the carafe right here. I've ordered my Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity. What the problem is?
Yeah, that's the body cam footage showed that. The restaurant appeared to have been cleared out as there were no other customers around. Officers repeatedly told him to get on the ground and lie on his stomach and place his hands behind his back. When he was slow to put his hands behind his back, an officer holding a police dog warned that he would be dog bit if he did not comply. After he was handcuffed, two officers got him to his feet and noticed he had a long object in his pocket, according to the video.
And he wasn't just happy to see him.
Another officer carefully reached inside his sweatpants and found an item that identified to be a knife wrapped in white cloth. Orlando Police Department has not released additional details, saying it's withholding certain information to protect the integrity of the investigation.
Wowzers.
He couldn't even get rid of the dang knife.
No, couldn't be bothered. Very funny picture, though.
Yeah.
My story today, we're going to Panama City Beach, Florida, where a cranky couple appears to be losing it over a few basketballs. They're an older couple, lives next door to a family with kids, and the two boys, an 11-year-old and a 3-year-old, like to shoot hoops in their driveway. Occasionally they miss. The basketball ends up in Robert Tucker's front yard, and the two
We've
boys
all had that happen.
Yes. The two boys go onto his grass to retrieve the basketball. Tucker and his wife have accordingly filed trespassing complaints against the entire family. They would have gone after the two younger siblings too, but police have refused that request. Recent body cam footage shows one such attempt, with two officers appearing annoyed and confused when they arrived at Tucker's home. One officer asked about the basketball on the lawn. Did they intentionally throw it over here? Tucker responded, no, they're playing basketball. According to the children's mother, the nosy neighbors have security cameras pointed at their driveway and front yard. Despite this, Tucker wanted the officers to inspect the balls for names and other identifying marks as evidence they belong to one of the boys. Tucker said to the officers, if you're going to say they're his, then they're trespassing, which they do every single day. I just want to hear you say you're not trespassing an 11-year-old once again before my legal advisor gets involved. The second officer said in response, I'm not trespassing an 11-year-old or a 3-year-old. The child's mother says this has been an ongoing battle for at least a year, and that Tucker's wife has indicated that she would be fine if the preteen went to jail. The responding officer once asked her, if he steps in the grass, you want him to go to jail for that? She responded, sure. How miserable a person do you have to be?
I don't know, but they have a term for people like this.
They
Karen.
do. You know, I've got some terms for them too that I can't use on the radio. But man, like if you can't like let a kid go, like if you would rather them walk around to your front door and knock and say, sir, our basketball rolled onto your front yard. May we please have it back? Could you please retrieve it for us? And then you are the only person who gets to walk on your grass, and then you go get the ball, and then that's how that's settled. Then okay, fine. Tell them that. If that's the expectation. If you don't want, like, if somebody, Like, we got kids that live behind us where we live, and sometimes they will kick a soccer ball or some Nerf bullets will end up in our backyard. I always toss them back over when I see them. But if they want it back right away, they know not to just hop the fence. They got to walk around, come down the block, knock on our door, ring the bell, and ask, hey, can we have our ball back? And the answer is always yes. Of course you can have your ball back because you're children and you're playing outside. Of course you can have your ball back. I'm not calling the cops. They win today. They make me mad. But that doesn't beat the Wizinator.
No, I think Wizinator might stick
The
around.
Wizinator continues as our What Is Wrong With You winner. Michael Swain of Fog.net joins us next for Jayhawk Weekly. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. This is Jayhawk Weekly on 580 Sports Talk. We do it every Tuesday at this time. Michael, of course, covering the Jayhawks for 24/7 Sports. Fog.net. Go be a VIP subscriber. No time like the present with football just weeks away. We are getting closer and closer to that. But first, Michael, it's TBT time. How do you gauge the broader fan interest among Kansas basketball fans, the broader appetite for seeing Frank Mason, Mario Chalmers, and other KU alums suited up one more time in the crimson and blue in the TBT? What is the appetite like for that among the KU fans?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I think if you look at the way the TBT's kind of gone, right, in terms of overall popularity, it has fallen off. I think from a Kansas perspective, I think there's still excitement to go watch a guy like, Mario Chalmers, for example, play alongside Frank Mason. And then you get some other kind of random additions like a Carlton Bragg. And so I think from that perspective, I think there's still interest in a really dead time of year. There's no, soccer on, the Royals stink. Like, it's just a real dead time for anyone wanting sports. And so to be able to turn on your TV and watch some familiar faces play, I do still think there's interest. But broadly, like when I look at what the interest is now compared to what it was maybe, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, I think it's just a little different now. And so it'll be interesting to see kind of how things go, but I'm not sure if it's at the level it was, but I still think KU fans that there's some interest in watching some people who you're familiar with, who you watch play at Allen Fieldhouse, watching kind of different generations come together and play at the same time.
Are you going out to Bramlage or Lee Arena here in Topeka for any of the games?
I will not be, but I'll be. I think I have to record the one tonight, and then I'll probably watch the one live tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll be checking out the action at Lee Arena live tomorrow. So yeah, it's a good time, and I'm with you. It's like it's cool to see these 30-somethings, hoop it up one more time for their alumni groups. But like Mario Chalmers, he pushing 40. Michael Beasley for Purple Rain's pushing 40. The younger guys are going to have to pick up the torch for this event sooner or later, and I don't know that that's there necessarily. I'm hopeful that the some of the younger generation who suited up for these programs will maybe pick up the torch and keep the TBT alive.
Yeah, and the hardest part is, right, so for example, like Zeke Mayo is kind of, I think, probably the type you're thinking of. And the issue for him is, like, he's got to think about, what's his next step. It wasn't a great summer league for him, but it's one of those where, he's got to make sure he doesn't get hurt. You remember several years ago, Perry Ellis was going to go play overseas, and then he tore a ligament playing in the TBT, and that really impacted him. So that's kind of the hard part that you find is like these guys that are kind of in the middle of their pro careers or trying to figure out what their pro career is. And obviously guys who are in the NBA aren't coming back to play in this because they've got their own obligations with their contracts. So it's kind of those guys who are in limbo a little bit, and they've got to be careful, right? You don't want to get hurt in this type of game. So I think it's a really kind of tough in-between spot where, one guy who I think, we should see in years to come is like, does a Devontae Graham come back, right? A guy who has made plenty of money in his pro career, just kind of looking for something to do in the summer, go play with some guys who he knows, could that be someone who maybe returns in a year or two? That's kind of the caliber I'm looking at, because outside of that, these younger guys are they're in such a tough spot because I think they want to play. But at the end of the day, right, you got to really prioritize your pro career because you just don't know how long you got to make money off of playing basketball. And as fun as TBT is, you're not making as much money as you will be if you're on a G League deal or if you're able to find a deal overseas. So that's kind of the challenge and the balancing act these guys have.
Michael Swain of Fog.net joining us here on 580 Sports Talk on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. This is Jayhawk Weekly. Every Tuesday at this time, we talk to Michael. From Jayhawks of the past to potential Jayhawks of the future on the hardwood, there's one roster spot left for Kansas, maybe two, depending on the recruiting status and the eligibility status of Mihailo Musikic, who we talked about last week. One roster spot available. KU's looking like they might be able to fill it. What can you share with us about that final roster spot and how Kansas might be filling that with a high school recruit?
Yeah, so there's a few things in play here. Obviously, Javon Bardwell is someone who is committed to Kansas, has been committed since last October. He, age-wise, should be going into college this summer. He is a part of next year's high school recruiting class, which means he would not be expected, if he stayed in that class, to enroll until next year. So reclassing up is an option. That's something that is being discussed with Kansas. I think today and tomorrow are kind of some important days as they discuss it. Now, you got to keep in mind, too, he's got this 5-for-5 eligibility stuff, and there are, some players like maybe a Melvin Council who have been really pushing to try and get an extra year of college and has previously said if he gets an extra year, he wants to do it at Kansas. I think earlier in the summer there was optimism that maybe the waiver was going to go his way, or that I've not seen specifically if it's a lawsuit that he's a part of, but basically it's a process they're going through right now to try and get him another year. And so if Melvin is able to get another year, then that creates a really tough dynamic where then you're really making a decision. Do you take a Melvin Council back and bolster the ball handling you have, or do you take a younger guy in Javon Bardwell? And what are the ways that you can go with that? Or do you take both of them and then say, actually, Musikic, never mind. But I do know that Kansas is prioritizing making sure they get another center on campus before the start of the fall semester. So there's a lot going on here, and it's kind of like a game of musical chairs a little bit, where a lot of it comes down to kind of the NCAA ruling on, Musikic and how things go with him. You're waiting on, Melvin Council. I think obviously he wants to go back to Kansas, right? His chances of landing a two-way deal in the NBA aren't great right now, especially with the fact that he spent the summer with New Orleans and Hunter Dickinson already has one of those two-way spots locked in. Like, that's a tough deal. So I think for him, financially, it makes the most sense to try and go back to Kansas for another year and kind of kick the can down the road on the start of the pro career. So there's a lot going on here, and there's going to be a lot to kind of monitor here over the next kind of couple weeks, because the thing about it is now summer's over, basically, right? This is the last week of summer school at Kansas. Players aren't going to be back until first day of school is the 24th, so I'd say about the 20th is probably when guys will be back. So you're looking at about a month right now is the time frame for getting all this figured out. Because then once school starts, right, that's when practice can start to ramp up and all those activities can kind of increase. So you want to have your roster filled by that point. So it's going to make for kind of an interesting month to see how these dominoes fall.
Let's say it's Bardwell, who reclassifies and all of a sudden is in the class of 2026 and joins the Kansas roster. He's a big deal recruit. So he's even a more highly touted recruit in a comparison to like Cole Rosario, who was somebody who reclassified. And, of course, Rosario reclassified a lot earlier in the process than Bardwell would be reclassifying if indeed he were to go through with it at this stage of the summer. In that world where Javon Bardwell is a Jayhawk, how does that impact the rotation for 2026? Because he's a five-star kid. You don't bring a five-star kid on campus and then not play him. So what does his fit kind of look like if all of a sudden, instead of being part of the long-range plans for 2027 and beyond, he's on the 2026 roster?
Yeah, so I think for him, it's kind of an interesting deal where you're right. Like, talent-wise, he's viewed as, he's a top 20 kid in his class. Like, that's a big deal. He's a five-star prospect on 24/7 Sports. Like, that's huge. I think people who evaluate him would still say that he's got some developing to do. He's got the raw talent, right? You watch him play, he's got the athleticism, he's got the length, the size. Like, he checks a lot of boxes. And at times he can really flash. You know, at the Adidas Euro Camp early this summer, like, he was one of the standout guys. But there are still some highs and lows with his game. And so I think at Kansas, obviously, consistency would be the first key, right? Can he find a consistent level? And if he does, and let's say he can play some, all-around game, right, where it's not just, hey, he's only an offensive player or only a defensive player, I think you're looking at him and saying, could he be kind of that eighth, ninth man, energy guy off the bench, great athlete? You get into some of these games against a Houston or an Arizona when you need your best athletes out there. Hey, you can throw Javon Bardwell out there, and he's going to give you some juice. I think he'd still play. I think you're probably looking at him and saying, is it more of maybe like a 10 to 12 minute a role? I think so. Because I don't know, again, is he going to be better than Cole? Well, the hope is that Cole's going to shoot the ball a lot better. And if he's shooting the three well, he's got the athleticism, right, that can help you out there. But then it's hey, you got Dennis Parker at that spot too. And, man, he can score the basketball. He's a veteran. He's a good defender. So the guys that Javon will be competing with are older, right? And they've got a little more experience and maybe a little more consistent. And that's why I mentioned the consistency with him, because you've got to make sure that, right, if you're going to play under Bill Self, you can't just be a one-way player. So I think for him, that'd be the biggest key. But I think he is someone that would contribute, would help KU, and I think could definitely be a part of the rotation in some way or form.
Couple more questions for Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, joining us as he does every Tuesday at this time for Jayhawk Weekly. The Athletic came out today with their rankings of the starting quarterbacks at all of the Division I FCS schools, or FBS schools, excuse me. And it was not surprising to see, one, that Cole Ballard was the Kansas representative. He's kind of considered, I think, from the outside looking in, the favorite to win that starting job at KU. But also not a surprise that he ranked last among the Big 12 quarterbacks. So, real quick, I want to ask this question about both Cole Ballard and Isaiah Marshall. I know we're still a little bit away from the start of fall camp, but getting closer every day. But we'll start with Ballard. What's the best case scenario for what that offense looks like with him at the helm? What is kind of the best case outcome for a Cole Ballard Kansas offense?
Yeah, I think it's Rocco Becht at Iowa State, right? A guy who you watch him play and you're like, man, is he the fastest guy on the field? Not really. Does he have like an elite arm? I wouldn't say that, but he leads the offense well. He makes good decisions. He spreads the ball around at the right times. Like, that's what I think it could look like with Cole Ballard. And obviously, Rocco's done pretty well for himself, right? You take Iowa State to new heights after Brock Purdy, right? That's pretty impressive, and now we'll get to see what he does at Penn State. But I think that's probably what is the best case scenario is you get that type of game from Cole, where it's just a more even keel, consistent guy who really picks up others, good leader in the huddle, like just kind of checks a lot of those boxes. And again, I think for him, the biggest thing is just going to be processing speed, right? Can he get through the reads? Can he get through everything quick enough? Because when he does, I think he's got the ability to spread the ball around and put the ball in the right spots, but I think he's just got to be one of those guys that puts it all together.
As for Isaiah Marshall, what is the best case scenario for a KU offense with him? The athleticism is at a high level. We just haven't seen him throw the football a lot. So what does it look like with him at the helm that gives Kansas the best chance to have a good enough offense to win games in the Big 12?
Yeah, Lance Leipold is comparing him to Devin Dampier at Utah, right? Dual threat guy. Again, not a guy you're going to ask to sit back in the pocket and throw 35 times a game, right? Not an air raid type of offense, but someone that you can really be creative with, whether that be in the quarterback run game, the play action game, doing a little bit more of that, getting the quarterback just maybe out in space a little bit where you can force defenses to make a decision, right? Are you going to try and close down on him? Or are you going to try and stay back? Like, you're going to force defenses to make decisions. So someone like that, right, that's like the best case scenario, right? Because Dampier's a good player at Utah. But I think that could be the outlook, right? You're really betting on his athleticism being the elite trait that he has, right? And if there's one elite trait in the quarterback room from a player, it is, Isaiah's athleticism. That's the elite trait in the room, and that's what you'd be betting on. And there probably would be some inconsistency throwing the football, just because it sounds like kind of that's been a little bit of the issue, is the ability to kind of make all the throws. Not sure if that's flashed consistently in practice. So I think for him, you're really just looking at the athleticism, dual threat, a guy who you're going to do maybe a little bit more option game with, and you got to make maybe some more layup throws for him with the scheme, which we've seen Andy Kotelnicki do, right? We saw Jalen really struggle over his career to read defenses and consistently progress through his reads. But then you look early in 2022, and it was a lot of layup throws. And so that's kind of what you'd look for with someone like Marshall at quarterback. Can you get the layup throws, and can you build your offense around just that dynamic athletic ability that he has?
Michael Swain covers the Kansas Jayhawks for Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. He joins us every Tuesday at this time on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline for Jayhawk Weekly. Michael, it is always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Awesome. Sounds great. Talk to you next week.
That is Michael Swain. Before we take a timeout, I want to tell you about my friends at Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon here in the capital city, the locally owned choice for the brightest shine. I got my car washed yesterday, and man, it just feels so good to drive a clean, vacuumed out, nice smelling car around. I can do that because I'm an unlimited Wash Pass member. I can get the full service wash whenever I want. Once a week, twice a week. After it rains, I got a rain check. It's a beautiful thing. And my car is a beautiful thing right now. And it just makes me feel good. Puts a little pep in my step, driving around with the shiny car on the road, thanks to the good people at Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon. They do outstanding work with personal touch, and they will take care of you. Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon at Fairlawn Plaza. Soar with the Eagle once a week. Back to wrap up the 4 o'clock hour after this. Our thanks again to Michael Swain of Fog.net for joining us for Jayhawk Weekly as we bring this 4 o'clock hour to a close. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we got a mess of sports headlines that we're going to get to on the program, including a TBT preview, some Royals injury updates, and a whole lot of layoffs at ESPN and the NFL Network. We'll get into that. Random Question Tuesday is coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, including the long-awaited announcement, how we are going to debase and humiliate ourselves for your entertainment as a thank you for getting us to 1,000 YouTube subscribers. We will finally unveil that coming up in Random Question Tuesday. And we'll look ahead to tonight's Royals-Giants clash. Can the Royals secure another series win with a victory tonight? We'll talk all about it coming up in the final hour of this Tuesday edition of 580 Sports Talk on WIBW. Let's get it. Hour number 3, 580 Sports Talk on a Tuesday. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you for one more hour today here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, on your mobile device, on the MSC radio app. Go download it. And we're on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. I'd say download it, but you got YouTube on your phone. You got YouTube. You know where to find YouTube.
Do you remember when Apple devices used to have the pre-installed YouTube?
No.
You don't remember that?
What do you mean by the pre-installed?
Like when you bought an Apple device, the very first couple iPhones and iPod touches, there was a YouTube app pre-built in.
I guess I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And then one day in an update when they reached like a new iOS, it was just like
it was actual YouTube.
It was gone, and then YouTube had their own app that you had to download from the App Store.
I was a late adopter. I was late to the iPhone train. I had so my first smartphone. I go back to 2008, I think, when I got like what you would have considered a smartphone, as in not a flip phone.
Yeah.
I got my first one of those in 2000. It was an LG. I loved it. I loved that. I liked the slide out keyboard. I still miss having a slide out keyboard.
So I had a phone. I guess it was my second phone, technically. I had a flip phone as my first phone. My second one, I had to have this one because it looks so cool. It was some Motorola phone that slid up.
The Sidekick?
No. I slid it up too much, and it broke in half.
That's tough.
And then I Googled it, and apparently it happened all the time. Like, it was just a poorly
made phone. Yeah. So I did. I went with the, it was, I guess that would have been the Android platform, or maybe not. Maybe it was just what LG was running. And then I had an Android phone for a while, and I liked it well enough. It was another one with those slide-out keyboards. And then I switched to the iPhone in 2013 was when I got my first one. I haven't looked back. No regrets. It's not anything that I dislike about Android. I have an Android tablet. I have a Samsung tablet. But, for phones, man, iPhone's it, baby. iPhone's it. Get that green bubble mess out of my face.
I had an iPod Touch. That was what I had. And then I got an Android phone because I thought Android was cool.
See, I had the iPod Classic, and I rocked with the iPod Classic for probably until I got my iPhone.
Dang.
I had the iPod Classic still cooking. I still know where mine is.
I had the Nano too. That was like the rectangle one, not the long one, the rectangle one.
The little joint.
Yeah. But so I had that. I had an iPod Touch, and then I had a Android phone, and then like sophomore year of high school, my iPod Touch died, and I was like, I can't live without an iPod Touch, Mom. Dad, for Christmas and my birthday, can you get me an iPhone? So literally, since they're in the same month, they put that together, and that was my present.
I didn't go find my old iPod with the wheel and the screen, everything, the little screen, like the famous OG iPod Classic. Not like I guess not the OG, but the color one, the first one that was in color with the color screen. Yeah, I had that. I used to watch when you could watch like stuff on there, like you watch like a TV show or a movie, man, you thought you had it made.
I remember when music videos were a thing.
Oh, okay.
So on my iPod Nano, I got
I'm so old.
One hit wonder, Metro Station, Shake It.
Oh yeah.
I got that music video.
If we're doing this, I'm so old. This is my favorite one. I'm so old. I remember when Nebraska football was good. Yeah. How about that? That's how old I am. I remember when Nebraska football could win a national championship. That's how old I am. I'm older than that, actually. But anyway, I could have beaten somebody to death with my first cell phone. That's another one of those. How old are you? Like, what was your first cell phone? Was it a little flip phone? Was your first one an iPhone, a smartphone, or was it one of those Nokia bricks that you could have committed a felony assault with? And mine was the latter. It had Snake. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. We welcome those of you who are joining us on YouTube. Maybe you're watching it on your iPhone or your Android. That's fine, too. We don't really discriminate. But thanks for checking us out on YouTube today. Again, the name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. We appreciate those of you who are hanging out with us.
I have a funny thing about a phone that I had.
Okay.
My first car. I had a car phone.
Okay.
Yeah, my first car was my grandma's car that my grandpa bought her, like brand new off the, like just came from Lincoln. It was a Lincoln Town car, a 97 Lincoln Town car, and in the passenger side middle armrest was a phone. A whole phone that had a cord and everything.
I remember those. I think my grandpa had one of those car phones. Anyhow, let's get to some headlines. We're going to do headlines this hour. We got 5-8 Sports Talk headlines. We've got our Random Question Tuesday that we are looking forward to. A little Random Question Tuesday for you. And we've got Royals Giants look ahead tonight, because that's what we've got coming up after us here on 580 Sports Talk. We are looking forward to that. Royals and Giants, 6 o'clock pregame, 6:40 first pitch tonight here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. But we get our 580 Sports Talk headlines with the TBT. Finally, it's here. Game 1 of the highly anticipated best-of-3 series between JHX Hoops and Purple Rain. Tonight, 8 p.m., Bramlage Coliseum, FS1, if you can't make it out to the Octagon. As is tradition for the TBT, there are additions and subtractions to the rosters just as the games are about to get underway. As is an unfortunate tradition for Purple Rain, Jacob Pullen will not play. Looks like Jacob Pullen has maybe backed out, at least for game
There are
one.
some
He's not playing. Conflicting reports, we'll call them.
Conflicting sources.
So no Jacob Pullen tonight for Purple Rain. We know that. It wouldn't be the first time that
Jacob
he's
Pullen's pulling out.
bailed, if that is indeed what has happened. But like you said, some conflicting reports there. No Jacob Pullen. Have seen, though, added to the roster a couple of former K-Staters. Kamau Stokes is on the roster, though he is questionable tonight to play. And Bebe Isiola. Remember Bebe from the Elite 8 team under Jerome Tang? Bebe's on the team, and they got a little size at 6'10". On to the Purple Rain roster.
I feel like the roster on the TBT website until the games start has changed at least once a week.
Yes, lots of changes. Also changes to the JHX Hoops roster. I see that Billy Preston, who has previously suited up for the alumni team, which is very funny because he has played more games in the TBT representing Kansas than he did as a Kansas Jayhawk. Wonder what kind of car he's driving these days. Billy Preston. No, come on. This isn't real. The TBT website says the last team Billy Preston played for is the Tijuana Zonkies of the Mexican League. What in God's green name is the Zonkies? Oh, my God. Okay. Wikipedia tells me the name comes from the tradition of painting stripes on donkeys to resemble zebras, a practice once common on the city's famed tourist strip, Avenida Revolucion. Tourists would pay to take pictures with or on the zonkies. No, that goes crazy. I think I need some merch. I need a Zonkies jersey. I need a Billy Preston Zonkies jersey.
Allegedly,
like I need
he's
air.
still on the roster.
Yeah, still on the roster, the Tijuana Zonkies. And now on the JHX Hoop roster, so too is Jamari Trailer, whose last team is a Turkish team, and I'm not going to try to pronounce it. There's lots of umlauts. In that team's name.
Played in Turkey.
Yes.
That's all we need to know.
Jamari Trailer is on the roster. Marcus Garrett has also been added to the roster, another recent Jayhawk favorite. So those are players who are going to play for JHX Hoops tonight. We expect that in uniform tonight in some capacity will be the aforementioned Marcus Garrett, Billy Preston, Jamari Trailer, Frank Mason, Zeke Mayo, Tyshawn Taylor, Kevin Young, Darnell Jackson, Carlton Bragg, and Mario Chalmers, along with non-KU alumni but rostered players DJ Burns, Tradeon Holland, and, of course, the two former Washburn Ichabods on the roster, Jacob Hanna and Andrew Orr.
I believe Burns is out.
Burns out. We got a report
last night.
We got the TBT version of Chris Broussard getting us some injury updates here.
So the availability reports were made public last night.
There were availability reports?
I believe I saw this last night. Let me double check, but yes, I believe the TBT Stats and Info is the name of the website. I'm pulling down here. Yes, Darnell Jackson and DJ Burns are out.
Okay.
Stokes is questionable.
And Jacob Pullen will not play
Yes.
for Purple Rain. On Purple Rain's roster, Michael Beasley, Cartier Jada, Bebe Isiola, Deshaun Gordon, Austin Trice, Sean Williams, the aforementioned Kamau Stokes, and Xavier Sneed. Among the K-State alumni, also non-K-State alumni, Brandon Childress, John Florvius, and Tiante Robertson. So that's who you'll see tonight. Again, 8 o'clock tip, Bramlage Coliseum, catching on. It is FS1
Tonight, yes.
That will show it tonight. Yes.
Tomorrow, FS2.
FS1. FS2 That's channel 243 if you get Fox, or if you get Cox Cable.
Check out social media content on 580 Sports Talk on Blue Sky and on X. I'll have some.
Spencer will be there. Spencer will be at Bramlage tonight.
Check out 580www.com tomorrow morning for a recap story of some sort.
Absolutely. And, of course, Game 2 tomorrow night is in Topeka at Lee Arena. Winner of that best-of-3 series plays the winner between the Aftershocks and the Enchantment. That's Wichita State alumni against New Mexico alumni. The Aftershocks, the defending champions of this event, blew out the Enchantment last night, 98-77. They include quite a few Wichita State greats, a lot of guys who've been on this team for quite some time. Connor Frankamp, Rashard Kelly, Trey Wade, Morris Udezi, Corey Washington, Chauncey Jenkins, and Marcus McDuffie. Also, QJ Peterson and returning players from last year's champions, James Woodard, Marcus Santos Silva, and Marcus Keene.
My guy, QJ Peterson, West Virginia Eastern Panhandle represent.
Is that right?
Yeah, I interviewed him on my last show during the summer for like 45 of the hour that we had. He came in with his high school coach, and we just talked ball, the history of college high school basketball and stuff in the area during one summer day.
How about that?
Yeah, we had nothing to talk about. I think it was MLB All-Star break, and there was nothing going on. And we texted coaches, and the coach for his high school was like, "Actually, I got an interesting opportunity if you would like it." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "Well, one of my former players, he has played all over the world. He's in town, and he just wanted to talk about basketball. So if you want him on, you can get him on." So we literally sat in the studio with him for like an hour and just talked ball.
All right. Let's move on to some new headlines. I'm going to look for some Tijuana Zonkies merch while you get us some Royals injury updates.
Yes, Aaron Rodgers, the MLB.com reporter for the Royals, has put out some updates on Royals players. Bobby Witt Jr.'s back is, quote, still pretty stiff, end quote, today, according to Matt Quatrero. He is dealing with the back spasms. Once those calm down, the team will begin to figure out next steps. They are going to be cautious with him, which, as you said earlier in the show, there's no reason for him to try to push it to be out there at this point in the year. And Stephen Kolek is going to get a second opinion on his right flexor sprain, so the Royals don't have any kind of update. And then, as we mentioned yesterday, Kyle Isbell is going to get a rehab start tonight in AAA Omaha.
Boy, certainly hope for good news on Stephen Kolek. Been a difficult year for him. Child born prematurely, off the field and on the field, dealing with an injury now. And, hopefully, because, look, the Royals going to need him. He's certainly part of the 2027 rotation as it currently stands. So Royals are going to need him to be healthy. Let's continue with some baseball headlines here on 580 Sports Talk. The Major League Baseball Players Association made their proposal regarding the future of the amateur draft today. Of course, you may recall that the owners' proposal was to further shorten the amateur draft, to add an international draft, and to change the eligibility for the Major League Baseball draft to only include college juniors or age-eligible sophomores and eliminate high school seniors, junior college eligible freshmen and sophomores, and others. Obviously, the Major League Baseball Players Association wasn't real fond of that proposal. So this is the proposal that the PA made today about the future of the amateur draft. Preserving eligibility for high school and junior college players while expanding eligibility to college sophomores, not just age-eligible sophomores, but all sophomores, designed to ensure the best amateur talent has the freedom to choose when to begin their professional careers. Retaining a 20-round draft designed to maintain a healthy pipeline to professional baseball while protecting major and minor league markets across North America. Increasing signing bonuses designed to reward the world-class athletes entering our game and making baseball economically attractive to elite athletes choosing between professional sports. Maintaining competitive balance selections for smaller markets designed to support clubs with enhanced access to amateur talent. Maintaining the freedom for draft selections to negotiate signing bonuses and other benefits designed to ensure players retain actual negotiation rights as opposed to being dictated to by clubs or the league. The MLBPA also proposed granting lower revenue clubs the flexibility to increase their signing bonus pools while providing automatic pool increases to such clubs that qualify for the playoffs, and reducing the taxes and penalties assessed on teams that spend over the signing bonus pool. Other draft proposals included moving the draft to June in order to provide a longer season for recently drafted players, permitting clubs to trade draft picks subject to certain restrictions, increasing player compensation under the incentive bonus plan, and removing current practice of clubs deducting certain bonuses from players' continuing education benefits, all designed to help attract young talent to baseball and promote competition. So, the way I see it, players trying to increase access to the game for amateur talent, and the owners don't want to spend any of their own money developing players. They want college to do it all for them. Do I have that right? Do you think, does that sound like I have that about right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
The other part of this that's interesting, moving the draft to June. So I actually don't hate that baseball tried to make the entry draft a bigger deal to the point where they moved it to All-Star Week and they moved it to the city where the All-Star game is located. And they had the idea that, okay, we're going to turn this into an event. We're going to invite the prospects.
Well, I think that's kind of shown what the NFL has done. They're like, we can get a piece of this.
We're going to take it on location. We're going to make it part of the Fan Fest activities for All-Star Week. We're going to invite some of the top draft prospects, have them walk across the stage, shake the commissioner's hand, really make this a bigger deal. Problem, nobody came to the draft this year. And I don't mean fans. Fans came to the draft. None of the prospects came to the draft. And there are varying reasons why you wouldn't. Like, Fernando Mendoza didn't come to the NFL draft. Like, sometimes,
that was a family thing,
right,
too.
If it's your preference not to go, your preference is not to go. But they can't convince the best amateur talent to come and be at this draft. So it loses some sizzle as a televised event because you don't have that instant reaction of the player when they've been drafted by the Marlins or whoever.
I think part of that has to do with the fact that unless you're like going to be the number 1 or number 2 or number 3 picks, like
there's much more uncertainty as to how the baseball draft is going to fall.
And some teams are like, well, we're going to go with another guy who might have a little less of an upside, but he fits into our budget.
Right. Like Zion Rose with the Royals. So, yeah, like I said, there's a bunch of different reasons behind it, but making it a bigger deal and putting a bigger spotlight on it, a well-intentioned effort that really hasn't worked. And now I think the players are right to say, hey, let's put the focus back on making this the best possible experience for the players. And in doing so, give them a chance to start their pro careers. Because a lot of times guys get drafted and they play, like a month, maybe 2 of pro ball. And slows their ascent up the ladder a little bit. They don't get that extra month to acclimate to what it is to be a professional. So,
well, yeah, because they get drafted and then you got like a week or 2 to report if you sign. And then there's only 7 weeks left of this whatever season.
Right. Next headline, Spencer.
Next headline for me. We got a contract extension in the NFL. The Dolphins and All-Pro linebacker Jordan Brooks have reached a 3-year, $51.3 million extension with 35 of that guaranteed. His agent told ESPN's Adam Schefter he becomes the 3rd key Dolphin player to receive a multi-year extension this offseason. Devon Achane and center Aaron Brewer were the others. So the Dolphins continuing to keep their own as they get to their second contracts.
Which is weird because the team stinks, right? They're locking in all these guys to do what? Go 4-13?
Yeah, the NFL app, I don't know if you have that on your phone, Dan. They send very weird, they don't, ESPN will send you a notification and it says exactly what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
The basics. The NFL one says, an all-pro linebacker signs extension from the 2020 blank draft. And so it gets you to click on it, and it's just this.
Yeah.
Not very. So I was like, why is this news being pushed to me?
One last headline to get to. This is big sports media news. Another round of layoffs has hit ESPN and the NFL Network, which, of course, ESPN purchased last year. Among the big names that have been laid off by the worldwide leader include Ryan Clark, the former Pittsburgh Steelers safety, who'd been a big part of Monday Night Countdown and the NFL Live show. Actually got fired during NFL Live yesterday. He was on the show, and it leaked that he was getting laid off, and they called him in the middle of the show to say, hey, yeah, man, we'd rather you hear it from us than the internet, but, yeah, you're being laid off. And then he didn't appear on the rest of the show because I wouldn't do that either. I'm a professional, but I don't know if I'm that much of a professional. But Ryan Clark was laid off. Carl Ravitch has been let go after 33 years with ESPN. Longtime Baseball Tonight host. He was the voice of Sunday Night Baseball before ESPN lost it to NBC. Yeah, voice of the Lily World Series
which
as well.
Is coming up in a month?
Yeah, I think that's right. Longtime SportsCenter anchor David Lloyd, former Carolina Panther quarterback, NFL MVP, and star, I use that term very loosely, of First Take, Cam Newton.
You know who's really mad about that?
Nobody. The
Stephen
NFL Network has seen the departures of longtime analyst Charles Davis and reporter Tom Pelissero. Fighting writer Andreas Hale was laid off. He covered boxing, MMA, and pro wrestling. Bart Scott also laid off. He had been hosting radio shows for ESPN in New York City. So those are some of the known names, and I'm sure there will be more that come out. But the best joke I saw about this is that ESPN's televised schedule is going to look a lot like when MTV just used to run 23 hours of ridiculousness every day. It's going to be that, except Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee. I mean, 23 hours of those two. Because McAfee's going to make, what, $60 million?
I mean, him himself, no. His show is getting syndicated to them for $60 million, where he's going to pay his employees.
$60 million for that.
It sucks that Tom Pelissero got laid off. But a network, a company, can only have so many NFL insiders.
That's true. I mean, like, he's probably third string behind Rappaport.
Like, Rappaport or
Schefter
Schefter are not stepping aside.
No.
They're at the heights of their career.
And Schrager's doing TV. So, yeah, it's kind of he's doing his own TV show. So, yeah, kind of a tough spot for Pelissero, but a guy that connected, you'd like to believe that he can land on his feet.
The X-Sphere was, like, blowing up about this. How could you let Pelissero go? He's so much better than everybody else. Well, no. He, unfortunately, is just the third guy in, like, you can't have three guys. It just can't happen.
We'll take a timeout. When we come back, it's Random Question Tuesday, including, at long last, the reveal of what we're going to do for our 1,000 subscriber celebration, how we're going to embarrass ourselves for your entertainment. That's coming up on 580 Sports Talk. One thing I didn't get to in headlines. Oh, goodness, excuse me. One thing that didn't happen during headlines and almost happened there was my voice failing. Dan and Spencer here on 580 Sports Talk. I didn't get to this. Christopher mentioned it. I don't know how to bring it up because I don't think it's a full headline, but I'm just going to go ahead and talk about it because, I think this might be one of the most impressive athletic feats of the year when all's said and done. So last night, Joshua Kuroda-Grauer of the Sacramento Athletics fouled a ball off of his groin. Hit a foul ball, and it hit him in a tender area. And it took him a moment to recover. He was in a seated position. He got back to his feet, and he singled on the same at bat, on which we find out today he ruptured a testicle.
That hurts just hearing.
Yes. I don't even like saying those words in that kind of proximity. He underwent surgery. It is unclear how long he will be out, but he was placed on the 10-day IL by the A's today. He hit a single. He got a base hit with a ruptured testicle. That's play of the year, as far as I'm concerned. Man of the year. Joshua Kuroda-Grauer of the Sacramento A's. Goodness gracious. Yeah. No easy segue from that, but let's go ahead and get into Random Question Tuesday. Here's a random question for you listeners out there. You can always participate, play along. The live chat, 785-272-9429. And on the live chat on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. What's the hottest hot wing you've ever had?
Pretty hot. I did a wing. Okay, so have
you ever done one of those wing challenges?
I'm gonna admit this.
Okay.
Not my brightest moment, but I was in college my senior year during, the time in which the country was not great. And one of my buddies had a little outdoor, let's go outside.
So you mean 2020?
Yes.
2020 when we were all doing some wild stuff with the COVID. We were wiping down bags of chips with Clorox wipes and so on. Anyhow, continue.
We were my buddy's like, dude, I miss you guys. So let's go outside and let's
have a socially distanced event.
Yes, it was like a little porch party, but not on the porch. It was in the yard. We were sitting in the yard in chairs, having a good old time.
Sure.
I had a good old bit to drink. Somebody drove me home. I woke up the next morning and realized, oh my gosh, we're doing a hot wing challenge in my house today with a bunch of the cross-country runners I lived with. It was even more miserable because I was hungover.
Okay. I bet it was.
It wasn't great at all, but it was even more miserable because I was hungover.
I've never done one of those hot wing challenges in my life. That's going to change. Folks, about a month ago, you helped us. Yeah, it's been that long. You helped us attain 1,000 YouTube subscribers. It's a milestone that we are proud of. That we are honored that 1,000 of you have clicked that subscribe button. It's free. You can go do it right now if you haven't done it and help us get to the next great big milestone. But 1,000 of you have subscribed to our YouTube channel. When we got to 800 subscribers, myself and former co-host Brendan Dworzinski arm wrestled for your viewing pleasure. When we got to 900, we had karaoke day on the show. Who will ever forget my rousing performance of Brooks and Dunn's My Maria? Now at 1,000, it's not enough for us to torture you, the listening audience, with our singing voices this time. No, we are going to torture ourselves. Spencer and I are going to eat hot wings. We are going to do a hot wing challenge in the studio. Now, the particulars of the challenge are still being worked out. So we don't have a date. We don't have specifics on the nature of the sauce that will be on the wing. But we can tell you that's what we're going to do. Spencer and I are going to eat some extremely hot wings.
We got to bring gallons of milk too.
Yes.
Yes.
Milk, ice cream, the whole bit.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to tell you, that day, it's going to be an interview. There's going to be an interview at the bottom of that hour, and it's probably going to be taped, just in case. But that's what we're going to do for 1,000 subscribers. That is what we decided to do. We are going to do the Hot Wing Challenge. And I like a little heat. Like, I usually get, like, if there's a medium, that's usually what I get. Like a medium buffalo wing sauce is usually about as spicy as I'll go, like on purpose.
Buffalo is, mild buffalo is what I'm at.
So that's.
So on that note, if you know anybody that owns
if you or someone you know
at an establishment that has wings or has some kind of wing challenge here in the city of Topeka,
if you or someone you know would like to put their name on this challenge and put their wings in our mouths,
it can happen.
Call us 785-272-9429
or email Dan.
Email your boy Dan at WIBWradio.com.
We can make this work. It could be beneficial for both parties.
Maybe it could be your wings in our mouths on live radio and on video. We're doing a Hot Wing Challenge for 1,000 YouTube subscribers. Anyhow, that is a little bit of show news for you as part of Random Question Tuesday. You have a random question today, Spencer, that you would like to get some audience participation with.
Yes, so I told you this earlier today. So I have I believe the official would be my second cousin. My mom's cousin's son.
Okay.
Who I hung out with when I was a real young kid. Saw about 12 years ago when I was in Connecticut. Caught up with him maybe like 2018 or something.
Okay.
I knew he worked, so he used to do YouTube, and that was like when I went to see him in 2016, or went to see his family in 2016. I'm like, yeah, he's really big into YouTube. Come to find out, he works for Mr. Beast. He works for Mr. Beast, the big YouTuber.
The Mr. Beast.
The one that has over 500 million subscribers on his main YouTube page.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, well, that's cool. From what I understand, that guy has like companies now, and that all his video, like he doesn't do any of his video, like he is the personality essentially. And so he has companies that he's got editors and whatever, because he's so big. I did not know that my cousin is best friend, or my second cousin is best friends with somebody of the caliber of Mr. Beast. Jimmy Donaldson, I believe is his name. So he was like in his wedding. Mr. Beast just got married. You can Google this. This is a thing.
So there is a Mrs. Beast.
Yes. If you have somebody that like knows somebody, like you're one degree
of Kevin Bacon from somebody.
Yes. Like,
okay.
Send it in the YouTube chat or the text line 785-272-9429.
You know a guy who knows a guy.
Yeah. Do you know a guy who knows a guy?
Do you know a guy who knows a guy? That's a good question. Do I know a guy who knows a guy?
Eli Morgan doesn't count.
So that is a know a guy who knows a guy. I went to college with. A guy, and
did you have classes with him?
No, he was on the basketball team, so okay. That's how I knew him. I went to college with Austin Brown, and Austin Brown is a basketball agent of some renown. He is the co-head of CAA's basketball division. So I'll bet he knows some guys.
Interesting, yeah.
I bet he knows a few guys. So that's a guy that I know who knows a guy. Obviously, my great uncle, having been an NFL assistant coach for many years, he and Andy Reid keep in touch. So I know him, and he knows a lot of guys that you know that you would be familiar with. That's about as good as I can give you. I'm trying to think because it's a better example. It's like somebody like you're kind of close to, and it's like, oh yeah, like I went to, I'm buddies with this guy. Man, those are probably as good an answer as I can give you, though.
I don't know. I was like, because he doesn't post. So obviously, I follow my second cousin on Instagram, and he doesn't post very much on Instagram. His last post was he was at some thing that he worked on with Mr. Beast, and Tom Brady was there.
Okay.
So he has a picture on his Instagram from 2023 with Tom Brady. And then the next one is him with Mr. Beast at his wedding, and the caption says, "Glad I got to see my best friends get married." And I said,
Oh, wow.
wow. Like,
Wow.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Know a guy who knows a guy. 785-272-9429. Here's a good one. 785. My cousin is best friends with Alex Gordon and went to Nebraska with Jabba Chamberlain.
That's cool.
Oh, I know that. I've heard of Brian Dunsing. I know that name. So, and that is our listener's cousin here from the 785.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I remember Brian Dunsing. Pitched for the Cubs, pitched for the Twins, I want to say. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah, played at would have played at Nebraska with those with some really good players there. And Nebraska really had that program humming there late 2000s, early 2010s. Really had that program humming. That's a good answer. Vance has an interesting one in the YouTube live chat.
Yeah.
A client's son was the lead keyboard player for Jody Messina. Yeah, that's knowing somebody who knows somebody.
Mark B. My oldest brother knows Pat Roberts.
The senator. Yeah, that's the former senator, Pat Roberts. That would have been before you moved out here. When he finally, I shouldn't say finally left office. He wasn't a senator for very long. He was in the House for a really long time. But I thought he had been. I had crossways there. That was he was. Roger Marshall replaced him in the Senate. So that's when we're talking. That's how fairly recent we're talking here. Britt had a random question for the two of us. We'll go ahead and answer this real quick in the YouTube live chat. What is your go-to karaoke song? Britt, the first time I ever done karaoke in my life was right here on 580 Sports Talk. So I guess my answer is My Maria.
Maybe I did know that.
Yeah,
I
I don't like singing in front of people. Like, this is as performative as I care to be, like, is doing this radio thing. I'm not super comfortable grabbing the mic and, like, singing in front of people. That's not really my jam. But y'all made us do it, so I did it.
I've got two, and I didn't do one here. Or I didn't do either here. All my exes live in Texas.
Okay.
And
that's a fun one for people to sing along with.
And it's this. You're going to be like, oh, that makes sense. Just, can you guess?
Is it a Luke Combs song?
No.
Okay. I don't know.
Take Me Home, Country Roads.
Take Me Home, Country Roads. Yeah, you see, I like that strategy because if you pick a karaoke song that other people, like, just naturally sing out loud, they sing with you and you're not alone. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So I guess it was last May of 25.
Mm-hmm.
I went to see my buddy when he was in his flight training in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
We went to a karaoke bar and we did Country Roads, and the whole dang bar by the end of it was singing with us.
I'll bet.
Which was so fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was so fun.
Here's one from the 615. Ricky Skaggs' wife invited me to Bible study at his house. That's kind of cool. The Bluegrass Hall of Famer, Ricky Skaggs. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little Royals baseball as we come down the stretch here on 580 Sports Talk. 548 on 580 Sports Talk. Speaking of random questions, this is the engagement bait floating around my Blue Sky timeline at present. What's the best line in a song? Not the verse, not a whole verse, not a chorus, not a bridge. Just one line in a song. What's the best line in a song?
That's a great question.
It is. It is. I got to really think hard about that one. It's going to be hard to beat Jadakiss on "We Gonna Make It" saying, "My bathtub lift up, my walls do a 360." I don't even know what that means, Jadakiss. How do your walls do a 360? Why does your bathtub lift up? That seems to me like poor bathtub design. Like if your bathtub lifts up, like how does it stay connected to like the pipes and what have you? But just it's an outrageous flex, and that's why I like it. It's very funny.
I got a funny one. And I saw this guy in concert, and I just like noticed it while I was I just noticed the lyric. The song's been out forever. It's called "Heavy Eyes." It's by Zach Bryan.
Okay.
It's a verse, but it's remember when Mary brought her own Jane? Lucas thought he was gonna die, and I was like, oh, I didn't even realize this was about what I thought it was about. I didn't even realize.
Here's an answer from the 785. He's the Charlie Daniels of the torque wrench. That is a good line. That's very evocative from Sammy Lee Kershaw, right? Queen of the double wide. Sammy Kershaw, Queen of my double wide trailer.
I saw Sammy Kershaw.
Oh, no kidding.
Not intentionally. He opened for Cody Johnson, I think.
Here's a Rush line from the 785. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. I think Spencer Hall of Channel 6, college football writer, I think he has the right answer. I think the right answer is "You don't know me, but you don't like me." From the streets of Bakersfield. That is such a good line. You don't know me, but you don't like me. Also, to your question from the 785, my cousin was frat brothers with Eric Stone Street at K-State.
Wow, that's cool.
There's a guy who knows a guy. That's solid.
Here's a line. Well, the devil can scrap, but the Lord has won.
Who's that?
Another Zach Bryan.
Oh, okay. He's got some quotables. He's got some bars.
It's the songwriting.
Yeah.
He writes his own songs, so.
2 Chainz rhymed appetizer with lapetizer once. Made up a word for lap dance, lapetizer, so he could rhyme it with appetizer. That's genius. Royals and Giants tonight, from 2 Chainz to Royals baseball. Royals and Giants tonight. No Bobby Witt Jr. in the Royals 9 tonight. He'll get another day off with the back spasms that have flared up. We mentioned that in headlines. So with him out of the lineup tonight, the Royals will line up like this behind Lewinder Avila. Carter Jensen will catch and lead off, followed by Lane Thomas in center field. Jack Caglione bats third in right field. Salvador Perez has homered twice since the break. One more to catch George Brett for the Royals club record. He'll bat cleanup tonight. Vinny Pasquantino's at first. Starling Marte is in left field batting sixth. Then it's Michael Massey at second, Nick Lofton at third, and Tyler Tolbert filling in at shortstop. Tyler Mahle is on the mound for San Francisco tonight, just 2-8 on the year with a 5.31 ERA. So you'd like to think the Royals could get after him. The lineup for San Francisco tonight: Elliot Ramos in left field, Bryce Eldridge the DH, Casey Schmidt at third, Rafael Devers at first, Willie Adames at short, Jung-Hoo Lee in right, Jay Rodriguez doing the catching. I got to confess, it's Jesus Rodriguez. I didn't know the first name, had to look it up. That means he's homering tonight. Anytime there's a guy I don't know or a guy whose name I make fun of, they are going to kill the Royals tonight. Go and bet the farm on a Jesus Rodriguez anytime dinger tonight.
What about the pitcher from yesterday?
I guess, he didn't get the win. He pitched okay. He only went 4 innings. Drew Gilbert's in center field, and the second baseman tonight is Christian Koss. He is batting ninth. Former Rockies draft pick, Christian Koss. You know, when he makes a good play for the Giants, I bet all the fans get really excited and start jumping up and down. You know why? Because Chris Koss will make you jump. That's a good line.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. We're going to come back, and we will wrap things up with the final word next on 580 Sports Talk. Word on 580 Sports Talk. We can kind of stretch our legs on the Final Word today before we wrap things up and get you ready for the Royals and the Giants tonight. So Royals look to make it 4 wins in 5 since the All-Star break. Don't let them get hot. The Royals winners last night, 4-3. Second walk-off win. Walk-off wins are always fun. Whether your record is 60-41 or 41-60, walk-offs are still a good time. Even if Alex Lang has to leave a turd on the mound in order for that to come to be, a walk-off is always a good time. Anyway, final word. Spencer Dupuis, what you got?
Yeah, final word for me covering the basketball tournament tonight. And I've heard of this tournament since I think, 2018 or 2019, I think is the first time I heard about it. And I can't. This tournament's name makes no sense. Can't we just call it like if you want to say if you want to abbreviate it, you can't say the TBT.
That's right. It's like you can't say the MLB.
So when I was talking to Olivia last night, I was like, yeah, remember, she's like, oh, are we going to, she's on vacation. She's not here. So I was like, yeah, I'll talk to you probably during the day, but I probably won't talk to you tomorrow night. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, I have the TBT. Just she texted me back. She goes, you mean the basketball tournament?
The basketball.
She was
tournament.
giving me crap for it, and I was like, no, I mean the basketball tournament. And she's like, so I was like, you can't. How do you do it? Can we just say basketball tournament and it's the basketball tournament and not have it? I don't know. That's something that's always bothered me about the basketball tournament. But I'm excited to go there. I'm excited to drive to Manhattan, and sweet that we have a station vehicle to do it in. Shout out to MSC Radio.
I've been calling them the TBT this whole time. I feel like, and yeah, it is clunky. It's like saying RBIs.
Clunky. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, it's like saying RBIs, like runs batted ins.
Yeah,
that's not what you would say, but it's fine. I think it's fine. I think the TBT is appropriate because I'm going to TBT tonight. That sounds like you're missing something.
Yeah.
When you say it that way. Final word for me. The Chiefs were not a great turnover creating team last year. I don't know how they improve in that department, especially with a much younger and less experienced secondary in 2026. But one way you can create turnovers, get to the quarterback more often. And that I do think is possible. I think the Chiefs are banking on it being a lot more possible in 2026 with younger legs on the defensive line. So the path to creating more turnovers is the path to creating more sacks. It all stems from affecting the quarterback. That's how the Chiefs defense improves in 2026. Royals have a day game tomorrow, a 1:10 first pitch, 12:30 pregame. So we'll be on after Royals baseball until 6. Until then, for Spencer Dupuis, I'm Dan Lucero. It's 580 Sports Talk. Good night.